Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to my presentation for Book in a Bag report. I did my report on holes because this is a book that you're all familiar with, so you'll understand how a report like this is supposed to go. So first, let me show you my bag. I have just a regular grocery store bag. We want one this size so you can fit everything inside. I wouldn't have been able to fit most of my things if I had just a little tiny bag. So handles are helpful too just for carrying, but you don't have to have the handles. Also, you don't have to decorate all sides of the bag. As long as you have one full side decorated, that's fine. If you want to add more to the sides of the back, you're certainly welcome to, but you don't have to. Okay? All right, I'm going to begin the report. When you come up to start your report, you'll want to get yourself settled and organized. Make sure you know where everything is. If you chose to make index cards, you can get those ready. I did, just for demonstration purposes, and it does really help. I thought about doing it without the cards, and I thought, ooh, I might forget what I want to say. So I really found making the cards was a lot easier. I also put on there little notes about when I want to pull my items out, so that I don't forget to take something out of the bag. Okay? So I will begin. I did my report on Holes by Louis Sachar. Holes is the story of Stanley Yelnats, a very unlucky boy. Mostly because of his no good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing great-great-grandfather, who was cursed by Madame Zeroni many years ago. Stanley ends up at a camp for bad boys after a pair of sneakers from a long time ago falls from above, hitting him in the head. He is arrested and sent to court because they are stolen sneakers, and they think Stanley took them. Stanley arrives at Camp Green Lake, which is really a dried-up lake, more like a desert, and finds out his punishment is to dig a hole every day, 5 feet wide, my shovel, by 5 feet deep. During his time at Camp Green Lake, Stanley meets many people, such as Mr. Sir, Mr. Pendanski, Armpit, X-Ray, Zigzag, and Zero, who he becomes friends with and teaches him how to read and write. Zero's teased a lot for being stupid, and eventually he decides to run away. Stanley worries about his friend being alone in the desert with no water, so he tries to bring him some. And he runs away from Camp 2. Stanley finally finds Zero, and they try to hike to God's Thumb, a large rock structure, to find food or water. When they finally arrive, Zero is very sick and weak. Luckily, Stanley digs and finds water and food, only it's tons of onions. But they eat them all, and finally they get enough strength. They decide to go back to camp and try to find hidden treasure, which is what they realize the warden has been making boys like them dig and search for all these years. Stanley and Zero dig and find a buried chest, only to be caught by the warden and Mr. Sir. Luckily, Stanley's lawyer shows up in time to see it all. Zero's ability to read helps him see that the trunk that they pulled out has Stanley's name on it. Stanley Yelnats. It turns out Stanley's great-grandfather had been robbed many years ago by Kissin' Kate Barlow, and she had buried the treasure there. The warden's family had tried for years to find it. Well, now it was found, and it belonged to Stanley. Finally, his luck had changed. Since Stanley, the great-great-grandson of Elia Yelnats, broke the curse put on his family by saving Zero, whose real name was Hector Zeroni, the great-great-grandson of Madame Zeroni. And they all lived happily ever after. The end. Okay? So that is basically how you want to present your book in a bag. You want to take your items out as you tell the story. You don't want to take them out one at a time and say, this is a pair of sneakers. I picked sneakers because they fall and hit Stanley on the head. Okay? You don't want to do it like that. You want to retell the story and take your items out and show them as you get to that part of what you're telling about the story. Okay? Thank you.